Your life doesn't need more brute force, it needs order. You keep trying to push when what you really need to do is get organized. And that's the mistake. The more you force things, the deeper you sink. Chaos wins because you let it grow inside you. The Stoics already warned us. The real danger isn't what happens outside, it's the disorder we allow within. And tell me, isn't that what's happening to you? You're fighting 1,000 things, but the real battle is in your own mind. This video is your reminder. Stop wearing yourself out trying to control what can't be controlled. Instead, organize your life. Put everything in its place, and you'll see how things start to flow. Today, you'll discover what to do to reclaim your calm and direction. The question is simple. Will you keep forcing until you break? Or will you learn to live with order so that everything else falls into place? You're here for a reason, not by chance. Maybe because deep down you already know that forcing doesn't work and what you need is order. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because this journey is just getting started, and every step can make a difference. And if you're truly ready to commit, write in the comments, Stoic at heart. Lesson 1. Decide like your best self. It's Sunday afternoon and you're at the grocery store. You went in for just a few things, but 20 minutes later, you're still wandering the aisles. You pass the cookie section, and your hand reaches out almost on its own. Then it's chips, ice cream, that frozen pizza, just in case. You get home with bags full of stuff you didn't need, that doesn't nourish you, that you know pulls you further away from where you want to be. And as you put it all away, there's that sting. Why did I do this again? Because you chose from impulse, not intention. You made a decision as the version of you that wants comfort now, not as the version you want to become. And this, my friend, doesn't just happen at the supermarket. It happens in every decision you make, every single day. But what if in that moment you had asked yourself, what would my best self choose? Maybe you'd have left the cookies on the shelf. Maybe your cart would have been full of things that fuel you, not numb you. And you'd have walked out feeling proud, not guilty. Because deciding like your best self isn't sacrifice, it's alignment. It's acting today like the person you want to be tomorrow. And it goes way beyond food. It's about every choice you make, who you spend time with, where your energy goes, how you respond when no one's watching. Every decision is a vote for who you are or who you're becoming. And when you start consistently voting for your best self, your whole life starts to shift. Let me tell you something that left a mark on me. Howard Schultz, the man who turned Starbucks into what it is, grew up poor in a Brooklyn housing project. His father worked miserable jobs, no health insurance, no security, no dignity. Howard watched that system break his family. So when he had the chance to lead Starbucks, he faced a brutal decision. Do what every other company did, hire part-timers without benefits to maximize profit, or do something radical. He chose the radical route, full health coverage for all employees, even part-time. Investors told him he was insane, that it would destroy the company. But Howard didn't make that decision from fear of financial failure. He made it from the vision of the kind of leader he wanted to be, from the memory of his father, humiliated by a system that didn't care. He chose like his best self, even when it came with risk. And what happened? Employees stayed longer, they worked better, they treated the brand like it was theirs. Turnover dropped, saving millions. The company didn't sink, it soared, because when you choose from your best self, even the decisions that look costly often turn out to be the most rewarding. Not always in money, but always in integrity. That kind of conviction reminds me of what Seneca preached in his letters. He said it's not about choosing what's easy, but what aligns with our nature and purpose. It's no coincidence that he wrote, "There's no favorable wind for the one who doesn't know where they're going," because if you don't know who you are or where you're headed, any choice will leave you drifting. But when you decide like your best self, even headwinds push you in the right direction. So tell me, how many times have you gone for what's easy only to regret it later? Picture this. You get home tired, and there's a personal project waiting. Maybe it's writing that book, recording a song, learning a language. You know it matters. You know it brings you closer to the life you want. But you think, I'm exhausted. I'll do it tomorrow. And you choose the couch, your phone, another episode. The first 10 minutes are comfortable. Half an hour in, you're still there. 2 hours later, you realize you don't even remember what you watched. And then comes that feeling. Time slipped through your fingers. You go to bed feeling empty, guilty, frustrated. Because while your body rested, your soul felt drained. Now imagine the opposite. You take a shower, grab something to wake you up, and even if you only make a bit of progress, you do it 30 minutes. Nothing big. But when you turn off the lights, you smile, you feel proud, at peace, because you chose what truly feeds you, not just what distracts you. Isn't that better? So, are you ready to start deciding like your best self? Here's how. First, before any decision, ask yourself, does this bring me closer to my purpose or further away? Cal Newport, author of Deep Work, says the difference between progress and stagnation is choosing with intention, not on autopilot. You're in bed, the alarm goes off, your hand's already reaching for snooze. Pause. Ask, is this who I want to be? Or you're about to open Instagram, but that book you promised yourself you'd finish is on the nightstand. Ask again. That tiny pause changes everything. Your best self always chooses what builds, not what numbs. Lesson 2. Your mornings and nights speak for you. The Stoics understood something we keep forgetting. The day doesn't start when the alarm goes off. It starts in your mind. And no, of course they didn't have fire alarm sounding phones waking them up. But they were crystal clear about one thing. The first decision you make when you open your eyes sets the tone for everything else. Every morning, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of the kind of people and situations he would face that day. Not out of pessimism, but so that chaos wouldn't catch him off guard. They knew that your first and last thoughts of the day can tip the balance toward calm or toward disorder. Chaos rarely kicks the door down. It seeps in through the small stuff, the everyday routines you repeat without thinking. One mindless night of scrolling turns into a late wake-up. That late wake-up becomes a rushed day, and a rushed day snowballs into a week that feels like it slipped through your fingers. That's how a life without structure builds itself, minute by minute, almost without you noticing. Now think, how do your mornings usually start? You open your eyes, and the first thing you do is check your phone. Within seconds, your brain is flooded with messages, news, videos, and notifications you never asked for. You're still in bed, but your mind has already run off chasing all that noise. It's like starting a race without warming up. You're burned out before you've even begun. And you know why that happens? Because chances are your nights are just as chaotic. If you go to bed with a screen lighting up your face, hopping from one app to another, your rest isn't really rest. What you plant in those final minutes of the day is exactly what grows the next morning. Anxiety, fatigue, scattered thoughts. Now imagine the opposite. Instead of scrolling until sleep drags you under, you choose to end your day with calm. You turn off your screen half an hour before bed and sit in silence, even if it's just for a minute. You pick up a notebook and write 3 words that capture how you want to end the day. Gratitude, rest, clarity, or maybe peace, relief, serenity. Then you run through your day in your mind and find one small thing that was worth it. A smile, a conversation, a quiet moment. It doesn't matter if the whole day was a mess. What matters is that you end it with intention, not noise. Seneca wrote, "Life is long if you know how to use it. And using it well starts with these tiny seeds. It's not about adding more tasks. It's about choosing better how you begin and end your day. So now you know. At night, before you close your eyes, give your mind a proper send-off. Don't carry the weight of everything unfinished. Give yourself 1 minute of gratitude. Ask yourself, what small moment made me smile today? What did I learn, even in the middle of chaos? Who offered me a kind gesture?" That 1 minute clears out the mental clutter and tells your brain, it's done, the day is over, you did your best. My friend, if you hand over your first and last moments of the day to disorder, you can't expect the rest of the day to flow with order. Control begins in those intimate moments, when you open your eyes and when you close them. What you do there isn't a small thing. It's the foundation of your calm, your energy, and your ability to stop forcing everything. Just organize yourself and let the rest come naturally. Lesson 3. Make room for what you deserve. You open your closet and there they are. Those shirts you haven't worn in years, those pants you say you'll fit into someday, those shoes that only ever hurt your feet. Every morning, instead of getting dressed quickly and feeling good, you waste time digging through things that no longer represent who you are. Your hand moves from hanger to hanger, searching for something that makes you feel like you. But all you see are memories of who you used to be, not who you are now. And the worst part isn't the time lost. It's the silent message you're sending yourself, that you need to keep the old because you don't trust that something better will come. But what if I told you this isn't just about clothes? It's about everything you've been holding on to in life. Relationships that no longer nourish you, projects that no longer excite you, thoughts that only weigh you down. You cling to them because you're scared that without them you'll be empty. But the truth is, it's the opposite. What you refuse to let go of is what's keeping you stuck. There's a huge difference between keeping and hoarding. Keeping means holding on to what has real value, what supports you. Hoarding is clinging to everything out of fear of the void, and most of us are hoarding, not just things, but also guilt from the past, resentment toward people who are no longer in our lives, expectations that were never fulfilled. All of that is weight, and as long as you carry it, there's no space for anything new. Think about the feeling of walking into a freshly cleaned room. Everything looks bigger, brighter. The same happens to your mind when you let go of what no longer serves you. Ryan Holiday, author and modern-day Stoic thinker, says that when he moved houses, he applied a strict rule. If he hadn't used something in 6 months and it had no deep sentimental value, it was gone. No, just in case. No, maybe someday. Gone. And what he discovered was surprising. He didn't miss a single thing. Not one. But he noticed something else. With fewer things around, his mind was clearer, his decisions sharper, his sense of freedom stronger. Because living surrounded by the old keeps you chained to the past. It's like trying to drive while staring only in the rearview mirror. When you let go, you create room for what's new, for what truly aligns with the person you're becoming. And there's science to back this up. A Yale University study showed that physical clutter raises cortisol levels, the stress hormone, and decreases focus. It's not just that your house looks messy. Your brain actually works worse. That stack of paper on your desk, that drawer full of just-in-case junk, they're draining your energy more than you realize. But this goes beyond the physical. There's a psychological concept called sunk cost. It's when you keep investing time, money, or energy into something just because you've already invested a lot in the past. You stay in a job you hate because I've been here 5 years. You stay in a relationship that doesn't work because we've built so much together. You hold on to expensive books you'll never read because they cost too much to throw away. But the past is over. The money's gone, the time is spent. Continuing only because of what you've already given doesn't get that investment back. It just blocks what's next. And if anyone understood this, it was Epictetus. Not because he had a lot, but because he knew freedom came from being willing to let go. He didn't hold on to resentment. He didn't cling to luxury. He didn't need anything that wasn't essential. That's why he said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." His strength came from releasing the weight so he could move lightly and stay focused. Want to live like Epictetus? Start simple. Today, pick one thing you don't use and give it away or throw it out. Maybe it's that old t-shirt you keep just for sleeping, even though it's been untouched for years. And if you hesitate, ask yourself, would Epictetus keep this? Spoiler, no. And when you let it go, you'll feel something strange. Relief, lightness. Like clearing out a physical corner also cleared out a corner of your mind. But it's not just about things. Reevaluate your commitments too. Is there something you do just because you have to, even though it drains you? Maybe it's a weekly meeting that no longer makes sense. Maybe it's a project that no longer aligns with your goals. Canceling isn't giving up. It's being honest about who you want to become. If it doesn't take you closer to that person, why keep carrying it? And here's something even harder. Let go of old identities. Maybe you still see yourself as the shy one, the one who's always late, the one who's bad with money. Lesson 4. Teach your body to speak for you. Your body never lies. Before your lips move, before you say a single word, it's already shouting how you feel. It's the loudspeaker of your mind. And even if you try to hide it, it always shows. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and for some reason everyone seems to ignore you? Have you ever caught your reflection in a window, walking hunched over, shoulders slumped, like the world is weighing you down? In that moment, you weren't in control. Your body was. And it wasn't on your side. Because your body is like a megaphone. It amplifies what you feel inside, even if you say nothing. If you feel defeated, your posture collapses, your voice softens, your steps drag. And the worst part? It's not just others who notice. You notice it too. Every time you see yourself looking powerless, your mind believes it a little more. But when you decide to change it, even if it feels fake at first, something lights up. Your breath deepens, your chest opens, your energy rises. Your body starts telling you, come on, you've got this. And there's solid research behind this. Studies in body psychology have shown that holding expansive postures for just 2 minutes increases testosterone, the confidence hormone, and lowers cortisol, the stress hormone. But the most fascinating part? It actually changes how you see yourself. It's not just that others see you as more confident. You start to feel more confident. Your brain reads the signals from your body and shifts your emotional state in response. It's a feedback loop. Change your posture, change your chemistry, change your mindset. But don't think this is something new. The Stoics already knew that how you stand in the world changes everything. Epictetus, even as a slave living in chains, never let his body transmit defeat. He moved with dignity, even in pain. That's why he said, it's not what happens to us, but how we interpret it, that matters. And enduring doesn't just mean surviving. It means doing it with your head held high. Picture Epictetus walking into a modern meeting room, arms crossed, eyes on the floor, apologizing for taking up space. Impossible, right? Even in his robe and sandals, his posture would scream, I'm here, and nothing can break me. Now imagine you're about to speak in public. You're hunched over, eyes down, hands stuffed in your pockets. How do you think it's going to go? But what if you did the opposite? You lift your chin, open your shoulders, plant your feet firmly. Without saying a word, you're already projecting confidence. That energy spreads, first to you, then to everyone else. And it's not just about big moments. It's about how you walk to work every morning, how you sit at your desk, how you position yourself during a phone call. Each of these small moments trains your body to communicate who you are. If you always sit slouched, back curved over your keyboard, you're training your body to broadcast defeat. But if you sit upright with relaxed but strong shoulders, you're teaching your body to express confidence. Let's take it into practice. First, spend 2 minutes in front of the mirror before you leave the house. Stand tall, smile, and look at yourself as if you're already the person you want to become. Yes, it might feel strange at first, but it's a powerful anchor. Then, when you're out walking, do it with intention. Shoulders back, deep breathing, steady steps, as if there's an opportunity waiting for you at every corner. And when those tense moments come, when your body wants to shrink, plant your feet firmly on the ground, lift your eyes, and repeat to yourself, I'm here and I deserve this space. When you're working from home or on a video call, stand up. Speak standing for 5 minutes. You'll notice your voice sounds stronger, your ideas flow better, your presence feels more grounded. It's a trick many successful professionals use. Just standing changes your energy, and that energy comes through the screen. Because in the end, how you carry yourself, physically and mentally, makes all the difference. Your body reflects what you think, but it's also the tool that can help you start thinking differently. If you train it, it'll start reminding you, even on your worst days, that you're already stronger than you think. So tell me, are you going to keep letting your body tell a story of defeat, or are you going to teach it to speak with strength? Let me know in the comments with this phrase: I walk tall because I already have it all. Let's fill this space with energy so strong it can be felt through the screen. Lesson 5. Tidy the outside, breathe on the inside. Your room, your desk, even your car, they're like mirrors silently screaming what's going on inside you. You can't really hide it. When everything's a mess, every object becomes a quiet reminder of something you've left unfinished. That clutter turns into a constant echo whispering, "You still haven't sorted this out." And living with that echo drains you more than any task ever could. Chaos is a lot like a backpack full of stones. Adding one doesn't feel like much. A paper you didn't file, a cup left on the table, a jacket hung for later. But then a day passes, then another, and without noticing, the weight builds up until even moving forward feels heavy. Funny thing is, the backpack didn't change. You just allowed it to fill up, one small weight at a time. If we brought Seneca into your life today and showed him your desk with tangled cables, pens that don't work, and piles of forgotten papers, he'd probably be baffled. Not because he lived in a museum, but because in his philosophy, the essential always came before the unnecessary. His words say it best. Poverty doesn't come from a lack of possessions, but from disordered desire. And that's what gives us away. We don't accumulate out of need, we accumulate because we're afraid to let go. We hold on to things we don't use, just like we hold on to thoughts and emotions that no longer serve us. A friend recently told me he felt overwhelmed by everything. Work, family, projects. Nothing seemed to flow. One day he decided to clean out the trunk of his car, which had been stuffed for months with bags, boxes, and old receipts. He laughed, saying it felt silly to start there, but when he finished, he felt something unexpected. Lightness, as if real weight had been lifted off his shoulders. That night he slept better, and the next morning he started his day with more energy. He hadn't changed his entire life, just one forgotten corner. But that corner became a symbol that order is possible. And that's the key. It's not just about aesthetics, it's about your mind. Every time you choose to tidy something you can see, your brain receives a message of clarity. I felt it myself one Sunday. I needed to write, but my desk was so cluttered, it felt impossible to focus. Instead of giving up, I made a quick decision. Clear the surface, toss what didn't belong. It took less than 10 minutes. But once I sat back down, the ideas flowed as if someone had opened a window. It hit me hard. Physical mess is a silent thief of energy. I know what you're thinking. Ugh, what a drag. And you're right. But there are small tricks that help if you turn them into personal rituals. I once tried the so-called 2-minute rule. If you see something you can clean or fix in under 2 minutes, you do it right then. Hang up the coat, throw away the scrap paper, wash the cup instead of leaving it on the table. At first it feels like nothing, but the accumulated effect is huge. You end the day without that dragging feeling. Another habit I picked up without even realizing is what I call the order song. Every Sunday I play a playlist that lifts me up, and for 30 minutes I tidy just one area: the kitchen, the desk, the closet. It feels like a game, but it works, because tidying stops being punishment and becomes a light ritual that marks the start of a new week. Imagine opening your bedroom door tomorrow and seeing everything in place. Not perfect, not empty, but clear. No piles staring at you, reminding you of all you haven't done. That image, believe me, doesn't just change what you see, it changes how you breathe. Because when your space can breathe, so can your mind. My friend, don't wait for chaos to dissolve on its own. And you don't need to force an extreme deep clean overnight either. All it takes is one conscious choice. Let go of what weighs you down and keep only what adds value. The Stoics would have applauded it, because outer order is nothing more than a reflection of inner control. When you choose what stays in your space, you're training your mind to choose what stays in your life. And that training, even if it starts with something as small as cleaning out a drawer, is the beginning of a bigger change, reclaiming your energy, your focus, and the certainty that chaos no longer rules you. If you're ready to commit to this change, leave your promise in the comments. Today, I start cleaning my space. Because in that simple act begins the kind of order that spreads into everything else. Sixth lesson. Be grateful for what you don't see. Yet imagine you're in the waiting room of a hospital. You've come to pick up some test results. It's nothing serious, they said, but still, you feel that knot in your stomach. You check the clock every 2 minutes. The walls are white, cold. There are other people waiting, all with the same tense expression. Finally, they call your name. You walk into the office, sit down. The doctor opens your file and starts flipping through the papers without saying a word. That silence feels eternal. And in your head, that little voice whispers, "It's bad. They found something. The worst always happens to me." But what if instead, while you wait, you take a deep breath and think, "Thank you because everything's going to be fine. Thank you because my body is strong. Thank you because whatever the result is, I'll know what to do." That's not denial. It's not naivete. It's standing face to face with uncertainty and choosing gratitude over fear. Because, my friend, when you give thanks before you know the outcome, you're not lying. You're choosing to trust. And that choice changes everything. Being grateful before you have something isn't some cheap mental trick. It's a strategic decision. It's telling your mind, "I'm ready to receive. I deserve good things. And even if I can't see them yet, I know they're on the way." Because think about it. If you go through life carrying the energy of someone who expects the worst, that's what you project. Your posture shrinks, your voice softens, you avoid eye contact. And people, even if they don't know why, react to that energy. But if you move like someone who knows things are going to work out, your whole body shows it, and others feel that too. Seneca understood this perfectly. He lived surrounded by luxury, power, and privilege, but he never confused external abundance with internal abundance. He knew that real wealth wasn't in what he owned, but in how he related to it. That's why he wrote, "It's not the one who has much who is rich, but the one who wants less." Because gratitude doesn't come when you have it all. It comes when you decide to feel complete with what you already are. And from that calm place, you can give thanks even for what hasn't arrived yet, because you trust you're ready to receive it. Let me tell you something that happened to me years ago. I met a guy at the gym. He always showed up early, always smiling, always in a good mood. One day I asked him why he was so cheerful. When it was barely 6 in the morning, he said, "Because I already gave thanks for the day before it even started." I asked him how he did that. He explained that every morning before getting out of bed, he closed his eyes and quietly said, "Thank you for the opportunities waiting for me today. Thank you for the people I'm going to meet. Thank you because something good is going to happen." I laughed at first. I thought it was weird. But he looked at me seriously and said, "I've been doing this for 2 years, and I swear my life changed. Not because everything's perfect now, but because I changed. I leave the house expecting good things, and trust me, I find them." That conversation stuck with me, because he was right. It's not that good things magically appear when you give thanks. It's that when you thank in advance, your mind stops looking for signs of what's wrong and starts noticing what's right. It's like changing the lens on the camera through which you see life. Suddenly, you spot opportunities you used to overlook. Conversations that once seemed meaningless become significant. People who could help you start showing up in your life. Is it coincidence? No, it's attention redirected. And if you need more than just words, go find the proof. Look up people who've already achieved what you want. Read their stories, listen to their interviews, pay attention to how they thought before they made it. You'll see that many of them talked about their success in the past tense. Even before they had it, it wasn't arrogance. It was certainty. They walked, spoke, and acted as if they already were that person. And the world eventually played along. So, my friend, start today. Don't wait for proof before you give thanks. Give thanks now, while you're doing the dishes, while you wait for the bus, while you're in the shower. Say it out loud or silently. Thank you for what's on the way. Thank you because I'm ready to receive it. Thank you because my life is getting better. And if at first you feel silly, good. That discomfort means you're breaking an old pattern. You can also write a thank you letter to your future self. Imagine you've already achieved that thing you want so badly. Write to thank yourself for staying strong, for trusting, for not giving up. Put a date on it, sign it, save it, and when the day comes, open it. You'll be surprised to see how many of the things you were grateful for are already there. Lesson 7. Don't let a screen decide for you. How many times a day do you unlock your phone without even thinking? 5? 10? 50? And how many of those times are because you actually need to? And how many are just your finger moving on autopilot? It's like a conditioned reflex, a buzz, a ding, and you're already checking, even though deep down you know it's probably just spam. That's the issue. You're not the one in control. The screen is. And whether you want to admit it or not, your phone has become like that silent partner, right there with you when you wake up and when you fall asleep. The problem? It's not a partner. It's a time thief. And if you don't set boundaries, technology starts making decisions for you. Your focus, your energy, your calm, they're no longer yours. Marcus Aurelius wrote it with the same clarity we could use today to describe a smartphone. The perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without apathy or distraction. So tell me, how can you live with intention if the first thing you do when you wake up is open Instagram, then WhatsApp, then TikTok, and by the time you realize it, you've already given away half an hour of your life? Before doing anything that truly matters, you're handing over your most valuable treasure to the highest bidder, your attention. And when your attention isn't yours, neither is your life. A speaker from the Entiende tu Mente podcast put it simply: it's not enough to use your phone less. You have to disconnect for real. Because your brain needs silence. That's not poetic. It's scientific. The constant buzz of notifications blocks your ability to think, to create, to hear yourself. And as long as you live in the never-ending scroll, chaos will keep calling the shots. So here's something different. This isn't just about blocking apps or setting time limits. Try a digital retreat. No need to disappear to the Himalayas or turn off the power in your house. Do it on a regular Saturday. Turn your phone off, really off. Let the people who need to know be informed in advance. Then vanish for a few hours. No social media, no messages, no videos, just you and your real life. Use that time to cook without rushing, to write something that's been on your mind, to go for a walk, to get bored even. Because yes, clarity is born in boredom. And if it feels tough, make it fun. Change your phone's name in your contacts to Time Thief, so next time you unlock it, you'll see it pop up. Time Thief you again. You won't believe how freeing it is to look at your phone with suspicion instead of treating it like your best friend. Once you start reclaiming your attention, everything shifts. It's not just about having more hours in the day. It's about getting your energy back. You focus better. You enjoy things more. Even your rest improves. Because now, you're not reacting like a robot to every ping. You're choosing what to do, when, and how. That's when chaos starts to dissolve. Remember this: if you don't take control of technology, it will take control of you, and it won't do it gently. It'll do it with algorithms designed to extract every second of your attention. Your attention is the front door to your inner life. Guarding it is an act of order, freedom, and stoic strength. So here's your challenge. Dare to do your own digital retreat, even just for one day. Force yourself to unplug. Because if you don't organize your mind, the screens will do it for you, and they won't go easy. Lesson 8. Be inspired by others without losing your path. Tell me, how many times a day do you catch yourself looking at what others have and thinking you're falling behind? How many times have you felt that tight knot in your stomach when someone achieves something you haven't? I hate to be the one to say it, but that thought, that little sting of envy disguised as frustration, is what's dragging you down. Because every time you compare yourself, you're telling yourself you're not enough, and the worst part? We live in the age of constant comparison. Before, you compared yourself to your neighbors, your co-workers, maybe a few family members. Now, you compare yourself to the entire world. Every scroll on Instagram shows you someone more successful, fitter, happier, with a better partner, better home, better life. And your brain. It wasn't built for this evolutionarily. We were wired to compare ourselves within small groups. Now we compare ourselves to millions, filtered, edited, curated highlights only. It's a losing game. It's time to change that. To learn how to admire without envy. Because when you look at others from a place of lack, you shrink. But when you look at them from abundance, from the belief that you too have what it takes, their success stops being a threat and becomes a map, a possibility, an inspiration. Picture this. You're on Instagram. Someone's traveling in Japan. First photo, Kyoto, cherry blossoms all around. Second, eating ramen in a tiny local shop. Third, meditating at a Zen temple. You're at home, in pajamas, on your couch. First thought, I haven't done anything with my life. And instantly, that heavy feeling hits you. Close the app. But the thought stays. It follows you into the kitchen, into the shower, into bed. Everyone's moving forward except me. But let me ask you, who said this is a race? Who said you're supposed to be where they are? If instead of asking, why not me, you ask, what can I learn from them? Everything changes. You stop feeling less and start feeling inspired. There's a psychological concept that explains this. Fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Carol Dweck, a Stanford professor, spent decades studying it. People with a fixed mindset see others' success as proof of their own failure. If they made it, it's because they have something I don't. People with a growth mindset see others' success as proof of what's possible. If they made it, maybe I can learn how. Same situation, totally different meaning. And that meaning? It shapes your motivation, your action, your results. Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx and one of the world's wealthiest women, said that when she started her business, instead of envying successful brands, she studied them. She'd go to stores, analyze how they displayed their products, read their stories, learn from their mistakes. She didn't see them as competition. She saw them as free teachers. When Spanx finally took off, she had already learned from the best, without paying for a single course. She just changed the question from why them to how did they do it. Marcus Aurelius lived this too. Surrounded by generals, philosophers, and politicians, he could have drowned in comparison. Instead, he knew his goal wasn't to be better than others, just better than himself yesterday. That's why he wrote, "Don't waste time arguing about what a good man should be one." That's not just about morals, it's about action. Stop watching what others do and start building your own greatness, because admiration can be fuel or poison. If you use it to compare, it poisons you. If you use it to inspire, it pushes you. So, my friend, the next time you see someone already where you want to be, don't focus on what you lack. See them as proof it's possible. Their path doesn't erase yours, it illuminates it. Here's the truth. Every successful person you admire was once a beginner. Every expert was a rookie. Every master was once lost. And all of them, yes, all had days they felt like giving up. The difference? They didn't let comparison paralyze them. They used it as fuel. Let's make this practical. Think of someone who truly inspires you. Instead of staying silent, message them, congratulate them, admire them out loud. It feels different when there's no resentment. Next time you see someone succeed, replace "why not me" with "what can I learn from them?" That single switch in your thinking shifts your energy. And start seeing your life as the unique path that it is. Stop running races that aren't yours. There's no sense in competing with someone heading to a different destination. One more thing, Celebrate others' wins out loud. Ninth lesson: what you project speaks before you do. Have you ever noticed how someone can say so much without even opening their mouth? Maybe you walk into a store and the clerk doesn't even look at you. You feel right away they don't want to be there. Or you meet that person who, the moment they arrive, changes the energy in the room without saying a word. Your energy, my friend, is like your business card. Before you speak, before anyone notices your clothes or your smile, your energy is already shouting who you are and how you feel. Imagine you're on a first date. You've picked your best outfit, styled your hair carefully, even chosen the perfect perfume. You sit at the restaurant table and wait. The other person arrives, sits down, and before they say, "Hi," you already sense something. Maybe their shoulders are tense, their eyes avoid yours, their hands nervously fidget with their phone. They haven't said a word, but you know, they're uncomfortable, and you, even if you try to hide it, start feeling tense too. The conversation turns awkward, the silences feel heavy, and in the end, even though both of you smiled and were polite, you know something just didn't click. What happened? No one said anything wrong, but the energy you both projected said everything. Because here's the truth: your body can't lie. You can control your words, but your energy will always give you away. And it's not just on dates. It happens in job interviews, family gatherings, even when you go out to buy bread. If you walk in with the energy of someone defeated, people will feel it. If you show up with the energy of someone who knows everything's going to work out, they'll feel that too, and they'll respond accordingly. This isn't magic or some cheap spiritual trick. Neuroscience backs it up. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, explains that our nervous system is constantly scanning for cues from others. In milliseconds, your brain processes posture, voice tone, and breathing from the person in front of you, and makes decisions about them before you even realize it. That's why you can walk into a room and feel someone is angry. Even if they haven't said a word, your nervous system already picked it up. And here's the interesting part: your own nervous system reads you too. If you wake up complaining, if you get dressed expecting the worst, if you leave the house with slumped shoulders, your body registers that energy and projects it. You can't fake it to your biology. But here's the good news: it works the other way around too. If you shift your posture, if you change your breathing, if you move like someone confident, your nervous system picks it up and starts to believe it, and that new energy spreads to others. If you don't believe me, think of Seneca. He faced exile, accusations, betrayal, and still carried a calmness that disarmed anyone around him. He wasn't a superhuman. He was someone who cultivated his inner energy as his greatest strength. That's why he said, "The brave man seeks not what he fears, but what lies beyond his fear." And no, it's not about erasing fear. We already know that's impossible. It's about walking through life with the energy of someone who knows they'll overcome it. That calm confidence, it spreads. Try this experiment right now. Stand in front of a mirror and imagine you're about to tell your partner something important. But in your head, you're thinking, "They won't believe me, this is going to go badly." Notice how your shoulders drop, how your voice shakes, how your gaze dulls. Now think the opposite. "This is going to go well, I'm calm." Your posture shifts, your eyes light up, your tone steadies. You didn't change your clothes or learn anything new. You just changed your energy. And here's something to really consider. Your energy determines the opportunities you attract. I've seen people with amazing resumes not get hired because their energy gave off insecurity. And I've seen people with less experience land incredible roles because they projected confidence. Is it unfair? Maybe, but it's real. Because people don't just hire skills, they hire energy. They want to work with someone who makes them feel good, who brings security, who adds good energy to the team. So let's practice. Try this. The moment you wake up, stand tall with your arms raised like you're king or queen of your room. Take a deep breath and say, "Today, I'm going to project confidence." It may seem silly, but it's a physical reminder that you start the day owning your space. Lesson 10. Your body supports your mind. What if all the mental chaos you're feeling actually starts in your body? Sounds strange, But think about it. How many times have you woken up more tired than when you went to bed, with random aches or that lingering fatigue that won't go away even after 10 hours of sleep? And the odd part is, you don't take it seriously. You treat it like just another notification on your phone, something annoying you'll deal with later, until you can't anymore. If there was ever someone who took care of his body above all else, it was Seneca. Picture it, surrounded by Roman banquets, endless parties, and people chasing excess. And him? Choosing a different path, simple meals, regular rest, light exercise. He did it because he knew that if he let his body fall into disorder, his mind would follow. For him, taking care of the body wasn't luxury or vanity. It was strategy. In that sense, he was way ahead of his time. He understood that mental clarity starts with how you treat your body every single day. You probably know that trap of thinking everything can be fixed with coffee. 4 cups to make up for 2 hours of sleep, 0 movement, and fast food. And the result? Anxiety, exhaustion, and a false sense of productivity. It's like trying to get a computer to work with a loose cable and a cracked screen. No matter how many times you turn it on, it's not going to perform. Psychologist Nerea Sanchez says it clearly. What you don't deal with in your mind, your body will end up expressing. And you see it all the time. In insomnia, migraines, tight muscles, digestive issues. Your body is the messenger screaming what your mind doesn't want to admit. You can't keep living on autopilot. There's a creator I follow who said what saved him wasn't some productivity app. It was something as simple as walking 10 minutes every morning. No music, no phone, just his footsteps. He called it rebooting the system. And it makes perfect sense. When you move your body, your mind starts to move too. It's not just exercise. It's remembering that you are a whole person and that your balance begins in the physical. My friend, your body needs structure just like your calendar does. If you eat a heavy dinner at 11 and turn off the lights at 1 in the morning, don't expect clarity the next day. It's not magic, it's biology. Order starts with simple rhythms. Eat earlier, sleep at the same time, respect your body's natural pace. And no, that's not boring. That's giving your nervous system the solid ground it needs so you can think without all the static. Picture 2 scenarios. In the first, you wing it, stay up late, eat poorly, skip meals, overload on caffeine. Your mind wakes up in a storm. In the second, you stick to the basics. Go to bed on time, eat light at night, take a walk when you wake up. Your mind starts clear. You don't have to be a Stoic to get it, but just read Marcus Aurelius and you'll see. Inner order needs a body strong enough to carry it. So, my friend, when everything feels off, don't start by blaming yourself or assuming you just need more motivation. Start by noticing how you're treating your body. Maybe the real disorder isn't in your schedule, but in how you're carrying your own life. Lesson 11. Excuses are chains you forge yourself. How many times have you told yourself you don't have time? How often have you blamed the weather, the traffic, how tired you are, or the classic, "I'll start on Monday"? Be honest with yourself, right now. How many dreams have you abandoned just because there was always an excuse that felt more comfortable than taking action? My friend, I hate to be the one to say it, but those excuses are invisible chains. They make no noise. They don't feel heavy at first. But they keep you tied to a place where nothing ever changes. Imagine you're walking around with weights strapped to your feet. One for each excuse you keep repeating. "I can't today. Now's not the time. When I have more money. When I feel ready." At first, you walk slowly. Then you barely move, until eventually, you stop altogether, watching others keep going. And no, it's not because they had better conditions. It's because they dared to take the weights off. And the ironic part? The more excuses you collect, the heavier they become. Because every time you don't act, you reinforce the story that you can't. Your brain registers it as proof. "See? I didn't do it again. It must not be for me." And just like that, you start building an entire identity around what you don't do. You become someone who always has a reason, but never results. And you make excuses even for the smallest things. Think about that drawer in your kitchen that doesn't close properly. Every time you open it, it sticks. Every time you push it, it squeaks. You deal with it 10 times a day, and every time it frustrates you. But you tell yourself, when I have time, when I go to the hardware store, when I'm not so tired, and it stays there, stuck, squeaky, while you pile up tiny frustrations you barely notice anymore. The problem isn't the drawer, it's the story you keep telling yourself for not fixing it. If you spend more time justifying the issue than solving it, then who's really in control of your life? You or your excuses? And here's the serious part. It spreads. If you can't fix the drawer in front of you every day, how will you ever launch that project? If you can't get up 15 minutes earlier, how will you build that business? Excuses don't care whether it's big or small. They grow. They take up every inch of space you give them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." And while that's about truth in action, there's a deeper message in there. Excuses are lies we tell ourselves to feel safe in the same old place. They don't help, they don't serve, and they certainly don't change anything. A Stoic doesn't look for reasons to avoid action. He looks for what can be done with what's available right now. That's what makes him free. And some people prove that excuses are nothing but smoke. Kyle Maynard was born without fully developed arms or legs, just small stumps. He had every reason in the world to justify a limited life. No one would have blamed him for staying home, but he chose something else. He learned to wrestle, became a champion. Then he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Yes, he climbed a mountain with no functional limbs. How? Crawling, falling, getting up again, no excuses. Today, he speaks around the world, and when people ask how he did it, he says something simple. I stopped asking if I could, and started asking how. That's the difference. The people who move forward don't have fewer problems. They just decide their problems aren't valid reasons to stay still. And when you live that way, when you act like you already have what you need, the impossible starts to feel possible. So what can you do today? Start by dropping one weight. Stop planning for hours. Stop saying, I'll start tomorrow. Take a micro step right now. If your goal is to get in shape, do one push-up. If you want a new job, send one email. Update your profile. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you break the inertia. Another thing that works: speak your commitment out loud. Tell someone you trust what you're going to do. Ask them to check in with you tomorrow. Just knowing that someone will ask gives your excuse less power. It's like holding a mirror up, one that reminds you there's no turning back. And here's something brutal but effective. Write your favorite excuse on a piece of paper, the one you always go to. I don't have time. I'm too tired. Whatever it is, write it big. Then underneath, write, this lie has cost me X years of my life. Post it somewhere you'll see it every day. Because when you stop romanticizing your excuses and see them for what they really are, lies you've been protecting, they start to lose their grip. Lesson 12. If you plant noise, you harvest chaos. Have you ever ended a day feeling completely drained, like you ran a mental marathon, even though you barely did anything? That kind of exhaustion doesn't always come from your tasks. A lot of the time, it comes from what you've allowed into your mind. Because what you watch, what you scroll through, what you listen to, it doesn't just vanish. It sticks around, taking up the space you could be using for your own ideas, your calm, your focus. The Stoics sensed this long before social media existed. Epictetus summed it up with power. What belongs to others is not yours. And yes, that includes other people's opinions, their drama, and all the comparisons you absorb as if they were part of your own life. What doesn't build you drains you. And the worst part? Most of the time, you let it in without even realizing it. Social media is designed to trap you in a cycle of stimulation, and it rarely leaves you better than it found you. I recently watched a TikTok creator talk about how she unfollowed half the accounts she used to follow, because every time she opened the app, she ended up more anxious than before. She said it wasn't that she suddenly had more time, it's just that her mind wasn't carrying so much noise anymore. And with just that one filter, she started sleeping better and focusing more on her work. She didn't change her whole day, she simply decided what not to let into her head. And I'm sure you've lived it too. You say, "I'll just check Instagram for a minute," and suddenly an hour's gone. You've seen 5 people posting their perfect vacations, others flaunting their workouts, and a few more acting like life is flawless. You, who just wanted to relax, end up feeling like you're behind in a race you never signed up for. Your mind doesn't scream it out loud, but inside it's yelling, "Enough, I can't take this anymore." That's why psychiatrist Marian Rojas Estape is right when she says that protecting what enters your mind isn't a luxury, it's a basic need. Because every unfiltered stimulus you let in is planting something. And if what you plant is noise, don't expect clarity later. So here's something really simple. Treat your social media like your fridge. Would you open the door and leave in expired food, stuff you know doesn't nourish you? Then why do the same with your mind? Start by unfollowing those accounts that trigger comparison or anxiety. No need to make a big deal out of it. Just clean the space. Every time you do, you'll feel instant relief. It's like opening a window and letting fresh air in. Then, create a screen-free pause during your day. It doesn't have to be heroic. Even 20 minutes is enough. Do it during meals, before bed, or when you get home. That quiet moment is like hitting the reset button on your nervous system. It's when your thoughts start sorting themselves out. It's when ideas show up without needing to force them. I started following a personal rule that seemed odd at first, but it worked. For every bit of time I spend on social media, I balance it with something that truly feeds my mind. It might be reading a few pages of a book, writing down a thought, or simply staring out the window and breathing. It's not about living in a cave. It's about offsetting the noise with moments of clarity. And trust me, by the end of the day, you feel the difference. My friend, every notification you accept is like a seed you plant in your mind. Some are wheat, others are weeds. You decide what grows in your mental soil. It's not about being perfect or cutting everything out completely. It's about starting to choose more wisely what you let in. Because if you plant noise, you harvest confusion. But if you choose with intention, what you harvest is calm. So tell me, what are you going to stop consuming from today to make space for your mind? Share it in the comments and you might inspire someone else to start cultivating clarity instead of chaos. Or if you prefer, write, "Today I choose to plant clarity in my mind." Lesson 13. Free yourself from seeking approval. Have you ever felt like your worth depends on someone else's opinion? Like you can only breathe easy once they applaud you, praise you, or say, "You did great." Have you ever stayed quiet in a conversation because you thought what you had to say wasn't enough? That feeling that you have to impress, prove something, earn your place. Even though deep down, you know you already belong. Picture yourself at a fancy restaurant with people you want to impress. Maybe it's coworkers, maybe your partner and their parents, maybe old friends you haven't seen in a while. The waiter brings the wine list. Everyone looks around, waiting for someone to choose. You know about wine. You've read about it, even taken some courses. But suddenly the inner voice kicks in. What if I pick the wrong one? What if they laugh? What if they think I'm trying too hard? So you smile and pass the menu to someone else. And while they make the choice, you sit there with that tightness in your chest because you knew what to pick. But your need to get it right paralyzed you. It's like carrying an invisible lock on your throat. You have the key, but you're afraid the lock might squeak, so you don't use it. And so, you go through life, my friend, holding back what you know, hiding who you are, because you think you need other people's approval to be valid. But let me tell you something. That need is the heaviest chain you'll ever carry. And that's exactly what I want to show you today. That the need to be validated, to be applauded, only clouds who you already are. You already have it, it's already in you, but you cover it up with layer after layer of doubt. Because this is what it's really about. Holding your head up even when the world seems against you. Reminding yourself that you don't need anything else to take the first step. It reminds me of Malala Yousafzai. When she was just 11 years old, She was already blogging about the ban on girls' education in her region. Imagine being a child standing up to armed men threatening to kill anyone who disobeyed anyone. Would have thought, I'm too young, too small, I have no power. But she didn't wait for credentials, resources, or protection to act. She moved with the certainty of someone who already knew her voice mattered. Even if the world told her otherwise, she didn't ask for permission, didn't beg for validation. She spoke because she believed what she had to say was necessary. And when they shot her in the head for it, instead of giving up, she came back stronger. That total absence of needing external approval, that unshakable trust in her purpose, is what made her the youngest person ever to win the Nobel Peace Prize. Marcus Aurelius, in a different era, lived something similar. Surrounded by power, war, and betrayal, he wrote in his journal to remind himself that none of it could touch his essence. Always remember this, he wrote. You have power over your mind or not outside events. Because that need for approval arises when you give the outside world the power to define you. And it's not that he had no problems. It's that he chose not to beg for what he already had inside. Can you imagine Marcus Aurelius today, obsessively refreshing his LinkedIn to see how many likes his last post got? Getting anxious if not enough people reacted? Impossible, right? He already knew that his worth wasn't measured in applause or screen metrics, but in his inner compass. And that's exactly what I want you to start practicing too, my friend. Because listen, the need for approval doesn't just hold you back. It drains you. It puts you on an emotional roller coaster where one compliment lifts you to the sky and one criticism crushes you. You spend your days measuring your worth based on other people's reactions. And that, my friend, is giving control of your life to people who don't even really know you. But when you let go of that need, something amazing happens. Suddenly you speak more clearly. You move more freely. You make decisions based on what you truly want, not on what you think others expect from you and people notice. Because there's a huge difference between someone who speaks seeking validation and someone who speaks from certainty. The first one sounds unsure. The second one radiates natural authority. And yes, I know, it's hard at first. That's why I've got a few practical tips for you. First, every morning write this sentence on your phone or a piece of paper. I'm already okay while I walk toward what I want. Read it before leaving the house, like putting on invisible armor to remind yourself that your worth is already with you. Lesson 14. Protect your peace the way you protect your home. Have you ever realized that what drains your energy the most isn't your to-do list? It's the people you allow into your mind? The Stoics knew this well. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must protect your mind more than anything else." But here you are, giving away your inner space to complaints, drama, and problems that aren't even yours, as if your mind were a house with no doors, open for anyone to walk in and leave a mess. Picture Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, surrounded by soldiers, advisors, politicians, each one trying to sway his decisions. Anyone would have gone mad with that much noise. But he had a trick. Every morning before facing the world, he reminded himself what kind of people he would encounter. Today, I'll meet people who are ungrateful, selfish, jealous, he wrote in his private notes. It wasn't pessimism, it was armor. That way, his mind was never caught off guard. And when the pressure became unbearable, he retreated to the one place no one could touch, his inner world. There, in the pages we now call meditations, he poured it all out. It was his way of wiping the dust from his mind so that the outside mess didn't creep in. That was his real fortress, not the Roman legions, but the discipline of his thoughts. You've probably been there too. A message pops up from that one person who only reaches out to vent. Their boss hates them. Their partner doesn't understand them. No one appreciates them. And you, who just wanted 5 minutes of peace, end up drowning in a flood of complaints that aren't even yours. When you finally put the phone down, you feel guilty. You tell yourself, they're my friend. I can't turn my back on them. But the price you pay is your own calm. A psychologist I follow explained it with a brilliant metaphor. He said being around people who only drain you is like trying to meditate in a nightclub. You can try, but the noise always wins. And that's the truth, my friend. If someone doesn't lift you up, the very least they can do is not pull you down. The key is learning to set boundaries without drama. It doesn't mean cutting people off cold or being harsh. Sometimes it's as simple as replying only when you have the energy, instead of feeling you have to respond immediately. Or changing the subject when the conversation becomes a black hole. Or even staying silent, because you don't need to justify taking care of your peace. At the same time, start making room for those who do nourish you. People who don't need your energy to survive, but bring their own. Who make you laugh, who inspire you, who remind you that life can be light too. And if you don't have people like that around right now, be the one to start that kind of relationship. When you plant peace, you attract peace. Think of it this way. Your mind is like a small room. If you fill it with broken furniture and useless clutter, don't be surprised when there's no space for the things that really matter. The same goes for your relationships and conversations. Each one takes up space. And if that space is filled with other people's chaos, what room is left for your own ideas, your goals, your rest? I know it's not easy, because letting go can hurt. We tell ourselves we have to always be there, that walking away is selfish. But what good is keeping connections that only exist because you're afraid to release them? That's not generosity, it's fear. And fear doesn't create order, it only adds weight. So here's your uncomfortable but freeing decision. Stop holding up what only survives because you're keeping it alive. Not because you don't care, but because you're choosing to protect your peace. Because if you don't protect it, no one will. And here's the Stoic reminder. Chaos isn't tamed by pretty words. It's tamed by firm decisions. Some will sting, but all of them give you something back: space. Space for what matters. Space for what you truly want to grow. Lesson 15. Move like you already are that person. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine you're a superhero. Not the kind with a cape or superpowers, but the kind who, just by walking into a room, everyone notices. Not because they make noise, but because they carry something. Confidence, calm, that feeling that nothing is missing. Now open your eyes and ask yourself, why couldn't that superhero be you? Why are you still moving through the world like you need permission just to exist? Think back to the last time you walked into a place where you felt out of place. Maybe it was a networking event, maybe a meeting with more experienced people, maybe just a fancier restaurant than usual. How did you walk in? Probably looking down, scanning for a place to sit quickly, taking small steps, trying to go unnoticed. And that energy? It was loud. People responded to it. Now imagine that before walking in, you pause for 1 second. You take a deep breath, you tell yourself, I deserve to be here. Then you walk in with your head up, calm but steady steps, eyes forward. That's not arrogance, that's dignity. And the difference is huge. When you move like someone who already belongs, others feel it and treat you accordingly. My friend, prosperity isn't some coat you put on the day someone hands you success. It's like an inner warmth that radiates, even when it's winter outside. If you always walk around small, eyes on the ground, mind full of, once I get this, I'll be happy, the world responds with coldness. But if you move like someone who already has what they need, not with arrogance, just with the certainty that you are enough, doors begin to open. You've heard of Jim Carrey, right? Before he was famous, he used to drive through the Hollywood hills imagining he was already a star. He saw himself on talk shows, cashing huge checks. He even wrote himself a check for $10 million with a future date and kept it in his wallet. That wasn't delusion, it was strategy. He walked, talked, and thought like someone who had already made it. So when success arrived, it wasn't a surprise. His mind had already been living in that reality. Marcus Aurelius practiced this too. Even through wars, betrayals, and moments of uncertainty, he never moved from fear. He walked calmly through Roman camps, never rushing. He wasn't trying to impress. He simply knew his power came from within. And in his writings, he made it clear, if you have the power to do good, why be afraid? That quote guided his decisions. He didn't walk like an emperor trying to prove himself. He moved like a man who already felt whole. And it makes perfect sense. Moving with intention and gratitude strengthens your self-image. When your steps, your gestures, your body language say you're already enough, your mind starts to believe it. And once your mind believes it, the world reflects it back. So, do you want to start walking like someone who already has it all? Start by entering rooms with a light smile and eye contact, even if you don't know anyone. Not for them, for you. And take that outfit you always save for something special out of the closet. You know what the special occasion is? Today. Because you're already living what you deserve. Speak to people without apologizing for existing. No more, "if it's not too much trouble," or "sorry to bother you." Your time and your energy are already valuable. Act like it. And here's something key. Watch how the people you admire move. Not to copy them, but to learn. How do they walk? How do they speak? What kind of energy do they give off? You'll notice the most confident people aren't the loudest. They're the calmest. They don't need to shout or show off. Their presence speaks for them. That's the energy you want to cultivate. My friend, walking like someone who's already successful isn't pretending. It's remembering who you are. It's acting with the calm of someone who already has it all, even if the world hasn't seen it yet. That's how you start to think and live like you already have everything you've been chasing. Lesson 16. Your life is a reflection of your schedule. Think of your day as a blank canvas. Every single thing you do, every minute you spend, is a brushstroke. Some strokes shape the person you want to become, but many others show up by accident, like smudges that don't belong in the painting. And when you step back to look at it, you realize it looks nothing like what you once dreamed. That's how chaos sneaks in, little by little, so quietly you don't even notice, until the final picture feels like a stranger. Let's be clear, my friend. Every minute you let slip away is a minute you'll never get back. And the worst part? You almost never notice it. Chaos creeps in like background noise in a cafe, not loud enough to bother you, until one day you realize you've forgotten what silence sounds like. It's the same with your schedule. You say, "Just 5 minutes on social. I'll reply to this real quick. One video and that's it." And suddenly those 5 minutes have become hours that are gone for good. Marcus Aurelius was speaking directly to this illusion when he wrote, "Don't act as if you were going to live 1,000 years." He didn't say it to sound profound. He said it because he knew that illusion of eternity is what makes us waste what truly matters today. Psychologists call this invisible adaptation. José Miguel Gaona explains it well. When you live surrounded by interruptions, screens, and constant changes of plan, your brain assumes that chaos is normal. You get used to living on high alert, even if you don't realize it. And that constant alert steals your focus, your energy, even your sleep. Try this. Review your last full day. How much time did you spend on what really matters to you? And how much slipped away on distractions you don't even remember? A friend told me something that really made me think. She checked her screen time report, convinced it would show 2 hours. The result? Almost 7 in one day. And the worst part wasn't the number. It was where that time had gone. 2 hours on social media, another on news, another shopping online. And the one thing she actually wanted to do, learning a language, she hadn't even touched. That day, she made a simple choice. She set app limits after 30 minutes. The effect was instant. Suddenly she had more time to read, felt less scattered, and even started sleeping better. She discovered something important. Just like a messy room, your mind needs space and silence to feel clear again. You don't have to copy her exactly, but you can try something similar. Pick one block of time during the day where your phone stays out of reach. Call that your breathing space. It could be while you eat, during a short walk, or just before bed. Even if it's just 20 minutes, it becomes pure gold, because you're fully present again. And when a sudden plan pops up, pause for a second and ask yourself one question that works like a filter. Is this vital or viral? If it's vital, do it with intention. If it's viral, ask yourself if it's really worth your time. Too often we say yes without thinking, and what seemed like a fun moment becomes another stain on your day's canvas. Your time isn't infinite or recyclable. It's the canvas where you paint who you are. And if you don't choose your brushstrokes, someone else will. And they almost never paint what you wanted. Don't fall for the idea that you have to do everything. Just organize your time like someone tending a garden. Pull out the weeds, water what matters, and leave room for the valuable things to grow. Remember, order in your schedule isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of your calm, your focus, and the life you want to build. And if you're still unsure, think about this. A year from now, you'll look back and see where your hours went. Will it be toward what you truly wanted, or what chaos chose for you? Tell me in the comments, what pointless activity are you cutting from your day starting now? Maybe your answer will inspire someone else in this community to take back their time too. 17th lesson. Filter what feeds your mind. The alarm goes off, and without thinking, you grab your phone. Your eyes are barely open, your cheek still stuck to the pillow, but your hands already scrolling. You check the work. WhatsApp group, complaints, problems, arguments. Without realizing it, you feel a tightness in your chest. Your mind starts whispering, "Today's going to be rough, nothing's going to go right." Your heart beats a little faster, and you haven't even gotten out of bed yet. Then you open Instagram. You scroll past picture-perfect lives and think, "My life isn't like that." That thought lingers, even if you don't notice it, and starts to eat away at your confidence. "I'll never have that. I'm not good enough." Then come the news, chaos, violence, crisis. Your brain, already on edge, now assumes the world is a hostile place. And all of this happened before 9 a.m. So is it really a surprise that your day feels like an uphill battle? Your mind is a sponge. It absorbs everything you put in front of it. And if the first thing you feed it is negativity, envy, and fear, what do you think it's going to project for the rest of the day? The worst part is you don't even realize what you've just done. You've programmed your entire day before breakfast. You've trained your brain to look for threats, to expect problems, to confirm that everything is wrong. And then you wonder why it's so hard to see opportunities. It's not that they're not there. It's that you already trained your mind not to notice them. This kind of mental filter isn't just a modern thing. The Stoics lived it too. Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by war, betrayal, and constant tension, could have easily been swept away by the noise. But he chose differently. He understood that he couldn't control the chaos outside, but he could choose the color he painted inside his mind. That's why he wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you fill your head with fear, guess what you'll see? Darkness. But if you choose thoughts of calm and gratitude, even in the chaos, that's what you'll project. Dr. Jim Quick, a brain coach who's worked with universities and global companies, teaches this too. He says your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant, that's what grows. If you start every day planting seeds of negativity, alarmist news, toxic comparisons, endless complaints, don't be surprised when your mental garden is overrun with weeds. But if you choose to plant inspiration, learning, and uplifting conversations, your garden flourishes. And here's the best part. Consuming positive content takes the same amount of time as negative content. The difference? Intention. He shares how many of his high-performance clients radically improved their productivity, not by working longer, but by changing what they consumed in the first 2 hours of the day. They stopped starting with emails and headlines. Instead, they began with reading, learning, visualizing. The result? More clarity, more energy, better decisions. Because when you feed your mind the right way, everything else gets better. So today, start protecting what enters your mind. First, turn off those social media notifications that pop up every few seconds. Set a specific time to check them. Don't let them dictate your day. You know what happens when your phone isn't buzzing all the time? You get more space, more calm, more you. Second, every time you feel tempted to flood your mind with drama, noise, or gossip, swap that moment for something that feeds you. Listen to a podcast that lifts you up. Open a book that teaches you something. Even play music that energizes you. Seriously, try it. The shift is instant. And it's not just me saying this. A study from Penn State found that reducing exposure to negative news lowered anxiety symptoms by 27% in just 1 week. 1 week, one small change, and your mind can finally breathe. Why? Because you stop poisoning your thoughts. If you wouldn't feed your body spoiled food, why feed your mind with trash? Third, create an emergency content kit. On those low days when your energy dips and your finger is reaching for the endless scroll, you'll have a pre-made list ready to go. 3 videos that inspire you, 2 songs that lift your mood, 1 chapter of that audiobook that always gets your mind right. It's your mental first aid kit. Lesson number 18. One bad day doesn't erase your path. Picture this. You wake up late, rush through breakfast, your inbox overflows, you're behind on everything, and by the end of the day, you feel like the whole week is ruined. As if one chaotic Thursday could cancel out the 3 solid organized days that came before. But no, a bad day doesn't destroy a life. It's just a crack in the road, and even cracks can teach you something. Marcus Aurelius knew this. In Meditations, he wrote that the perfection of character is to live each day as if it were your last, without apathy and without pretending, and that includes the messy days, the ones that don't go as planned, the ones that feel like a waste. What really defines your character isn't flawless execution, it's your ability to course correct after you stumble. Molosebrian said it in his podcast, Entiende tu mente. Mental rigidity can't handle life. Flexibility can. That's the key. It's not about standing firm all the time. It's about learning to bend and then come back upright. It's not about never messing up, it's about not giving up after the mess up. Let me paint a scene you'll probably recognize. You start the week strong. Monday is flawless, you get everything done, eat well, maybe even fit in a little extra. Tuesday keeps the momentum. Wednesday, still going. Then Thursday hits, and the rhythm breaks. You stay up too late, wake up tired, eat whatever's in reach, skip your workout, and suddenly you think, that's it. Week's ruined. That's the trap. Now picture 2 people facing that same chaotic Thursday. The first one says, I blew it, and lets the mess bleed into Friday, then the weekend, and maybe even into Monday. The second one, tired and frustrated just the same, chooses to do one small thing, lays out clothes for tomorrow, replies to 1 email, takes a 10-minute walk. A tiny action, yes, but enough to remind themselves they're still in charge. The contrast is huge, same bad day, 2 very different outcomes. One feeds the chaos, the other stops it cold. That's where everything shifts, not on the perfect days, but on the imperfect ones and how you respond to them. Here's the irony. The real problem wasn't the bad Thursday. It was the choice to use it as an excuse to let everything go. One bad day doesn't cancel the good ones, just like one cloud doesn't erase the sun. What turns it into a disaster is giving up. Seneca would have explained it differently. The time you've already lost can't be recovered, but you can choose what to do with what's left. And that's the power we forget when we surrender. Even in the middle of chaos, there's still something you get to decide. My friend, not every day will be flawless. That's not how life works. What is in your hands is refusing to let one setback ruin everything else. Think of it like a race. If you fall at mile 5, do you quit even though you still have the strength to finish? Of course not. You get up, brush off the dust, and keep going even if your pace is no longer perfect. Here's the practical side. When you have a messy day, don't try to fix the whole thing. Just focus on one small action that gives you direction. Wash the dishes, even if you don't clean the whole kitchen. Go for a 15-minute walk, even if you miss your full workout. Write 1 paragraph, even if the project stays unfinished. These small actions may seem trivial, but they are what separate surrender from resilience. At the end of a rough day, close it with a reminder. No need for a big speech, just one simple sentence. Today I fell, but I'm already back on my feet. Write it in a journal, in your notes app, on a sticky note next to your bed. Make it your anchor. Because what defines your life isn't the bad days. It's your decision not to give up on them. So don't give up over one bad day. Don't turn a single stone in the road into a reason to abandon the entire structure you're building. Real order isn't perfection. It's coming back to center again and again. What you're missing isn't more willpower. It's simply the reminder that even in the chaos, you still have the power to return. And now, get ready, because what comes next is the most uncomfortable piece. It's not easy to accept, but if you do, it might just change everything. Lesson 19. What you're looking for is already in your hands. Have you ever looked all over the house for your keys, only to find they were in your hand the whole time? Or searched frantically for your glasses, only to realize they were sitting right on your head? You laugh when it happens, feel a bit silly for a second, then move on. But here's the funny part. You do the same thing with your life. You complain about what's missing without realizing it's already right in front of you. Think about this calmly. Yesterday, you said you don't have time for yourself, that there aren't enough hours in the day, but you spent 2 hours scrolling through videos of recipes you'll never try. Or worse, watched 3 episodes of a series you don't even really like just because it was already playing. Or maybe you complained that you're unlucky, that life doesn't smile at you. But you have friends who support you unconditionally, and you barely notice you wake up healthy each morning, but take it for granted. You have a job that lets you eat, yet you only focus on what you dislike about it. You tell yourself you have nothing, when in reality, you're surrounded by things you once dreamed of. That's the problem. You're so focused on what's missing that you can't see what's overflowing. And when you can't see it, you don't enjoy it, you don't value it, you don't live it. Here's what's powerful. There are people in the world who would give anything to have your problems, to have your small apartment, to have your boring job, to have your health, which you take for granted. I'm not saying this to guilt you, but to wake you up, because abundance isn't about having more. It's about appreciating what you already have. A study from the University of California revealed something fascinating. People who practiced daily gratitude for just 3 weeks reported significantly higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. And here's the kicker. Nothing in their external lives changed. Same job, same house, same problems. The only thing that changed was their focus. They started noticing what they already had instead of obsessing over what was missing. And that, my friend, changed everything. You know who never made that mistake? Epictetus. He was born a slave. He had no possessions, no privileges, but he focused on what he could control. No one could take away his inner freedom. That's why he said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Can you imagine Epictetus wishing he had Marcus Aurelius's riches? Absurd. He didn't waste his life craving the impossible. He built greatness from what he had. That's the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. It's not what you lack, it's what you choose to see, and how you act from there. Let me say something that might sting a little. If today you had twice the money, you'd still find something to complain about. If you had the perfect body, you'd find another flaw. If you had the ideal partner, there would still be days you'd think, something's missing. Why? Because the problem isn't what you do or don't have. The problem is how your mind is trained to always search for lack. It's a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed. What you have now, though it may not seem like it, is already a gift. Every time you say it's not enough, you act from scarcity. And when you live from scarcity, even abundance won't feel like enough. But when you start thinking like someone who already has everything, everything changes. Not because blessings suddenly fall from the sky, but because you realize they've been there all along. Tony Robbins tells a story that shifted my perspective. He was at an event filled with wildly successful people, wealth, power, recognition, and yet, many of them felt empty. One man came up to him and said, "Tony, I have everything, and I'm still not happy." Tony replied, "It's not that you're missing something. It's that you forgot to appreciate what you already have. Happiness doesn't come from getting more. It comes from recognizing what you've already gotten." That man stood in silence, because it was true. So, my friend, think about this. If today you stopped chasing what's missing and started noticing what's overflowing, how would you walk tomorrow? How would you talk? How would you live? If you're ready to shift your focus, start now. Do this. Write a list of at least 5 things in your life that you once wished for, and now you have. It can be something as simple as a roof over your head, a loyal friend, or a skill you've mastered that once felt impossible. And don't say nothing, because if you're reading this, you have internet, a device, free time, and the ability to learn. That alone is more than millions have. Next, thank someone. Right now. Lesson 20. Putting your life in order is an act of self-respect. This might sting a little, but I need you to hear it clearly. Do you know why it's often so hard to organize your life? It's not laziness. It's not a lack of time. Deep down, it's because you've forgotten that your life is worth taking care of. And I don't say this to point fingers. I say it because it happened to me, and it happens to more people than you'd imagine. Chaos doesn't always come from the outside. It starts inside in how you value yourself. When you stop prioritizing yourself, disorder becomes the norm. You get used to living with piles of unfinished tasks, messy drawers you never touch, schedules with no direction. And sure, you justify it. I don't have energy, I don't have time, I don't feel like it. But let's be honest, the real reason runs deeper. You've stopped treating your life like something valuable, like something that deserves structure, clarity, and care. And if you don't give it that, no one else will. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." And here's something crucial. What you think about yourself often isn't fair. If you keep repeating to yourself that you're not worthy of peace, order, or clarity, you'll start acting like it's true. And what happens? You feed the disorder. You let chaos call the shots. I realized this on an ordinary day, standing in front of something as simple as a sink full of dishes. Up until then, I'd only seen order as productivity. Everything was a checklist, a set of tasks, something to get through just to be efficient. But that day, exhausted, I looked at the sink and told myself, I'm not doing this to check a box. I'm doing it because I deserve a clean kitchen. Because that space reflects me. Because if I don't take care of it, no one will. And suddenly, tidying up stopped being an obligation. It became an act of self-respect. That's when I discovered something that changed everything. Order is also a form of self-love. It's a quiet gesture that says, I matter. Veronica Bloom put it beautifully in an interview. I tidy up because my peace of mind deserves a beautiful place to live. She didn't say it as some catchy Instagram caption. She said it as someone who understands that the space you live in mirrors the value you place on yourself. Think about it. When you organize your environment, you're not just moving things around. You're sending a direct message to your mind. Here, there is care. Here, there is respect. And that message, even if it's subtle, gives you energy. The opposite is true too. If you let chaos build up in your space, your mind soaks it in, and you start to believe that's all you deserve. So here's a challenge, my friend. Pick one small corner, just one. Your nightstand, your bag, your fridge. Organize it calmly, without rushing. Don't treat it like a chore. Treat it like an act of respect. Tell your mind, I deserve this order. Do it slowly with intention. And when you finish, take a moment to notice how it shifts something inside you. Want to take it further? Each night, write one short affirmation. Something as simple as, today I cared for myself by organizing my space. It might sound trivial, but your brain starts to believe what it hears repeatedly. And over time, that repetition trains you to see yourself differently. Seneca would have applauded this. He spoke often of the power of simplicity and how we don't need luxury to live well, just order and balance. And that starts with how you treat yourself. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. It's not about having a spotless home. It's about reminding yourself daily that you're worth living in clarity. Don't beat yourself up on the days when everything falls apart again. Self-respect isn't measured by a magazine-ready house. It's measured by your willingness to return to order again and again. Because when you do, your life stops being something accidental and starts becoming something intentional. Here's what matters most. Your life can be a work of art, but only if you decide to be the one who creates it. Don't wait for chaos to disappear on its own, because it won't. It needs you to get up, to make decisions, to set boundaries, and to commit. Organizing your life isn't a punishment. It's not a boring chore. It's an act of respect for the most valuable thing you have, yourself. And when you understand that, order stops feeling like a burden and starts becoming freedom. Lesson 21. Enjoy the process, not just the destination. Have you ever hiked up a mountain with your eyes fixed only on the summit? Step after step, never looking down, until you trip over a rock you didn't see coming. That's what happens in life when you focus only on the final result. You get obsessed with getting there and miss everything that transforms you along the way. Think about it. The summit of a mountain is just a point you might spend 20 minutes there. Take a photo, eat something, and head back down. But the climb? That took hours, days of preparation. And if your whole focus was on getting to the top, you missed the sunrise along the trail, the deep conversation with your hiking partner, the moment your legs felt like they couldn't take another step. But you kept going. That, my friend, is where the transformation happens, not at the top. On the way up, think about a time when you started something new. Maybe a language course, the gym, learning to play the guitar. At first you were excited. You told everyone, bought supplies, made a plan. 2 weeks later, you looked in the mirror, didn't see any changes, didn't feel progress, and thought, this isn't working, this isn't for me. So you gave up. What you didn't realize was that the real change had already begun during those days. Your mind was already planting the seeds, but you didn't trust the process. That's where most people stop, frozen, staring at the summit, thinking it's too far away. And that's exactly where you need to decide to be different instead of obsessing over how far you still have to go. Start imagining you're already at the top. Feel in your body what it would be like to be there. Breathe like someone who's already made it. Think like the person who's already achieved their goal. When you adopt that mindset, every step stops feeling like a sacrifice and starts becoming a confirmation that you're living the life you want. And something magical happens when you think like that. The days when you used to get frustrated for not seeing results become lighter. You no longer need constant proof that you're improving, because deep down, you feel it. Every workout, every study session, every tough conversation stops being a burden and becomes a building block in something that already exists in your mind. Even on the days when it feels like nothing's happening, they still count, because now you're walking with certainty, not scarcity. There's a fascinating study from the University of Chicago that proves this. Researchers followed 2 groups learning to play piano. The first group was told to focus on playing a piece perfectly for their final recital. The second group was told to enjoy each practice session, to celebrate every little improvement. The result: the second group not only had more fun, they played better at the recital. Why? Because they weren't stressed about the outcome. They were present in each note, each mistake, each improvement. They lived the process like they were already pianists, not like they were just hoping to become one. Ed Milet, one of the most influential high-performance coaches in the world, puts it perfectly. Most people delay happiness. They say, I'll be happy when I get there. But when they get there, their brain is already programmed to chase the next goal instead of enjoying the achievement. It's a never-ending cycle. The ones who truly succeed are the ones who learn to be happy along the way, celebrating every small win, because they know those are what build the big one. That's the difference between people who reach their goals exhausted and people who reach them fulfilled. If you only value the destination, you'll be so burnt out when you get there that you won't be able to enjoy it. But if you value the journey, Every day has meaning. Every step adds up. And when you finally arrive, it's not a surprise or a relief. It's the natural confirmation of what you've already been becoming. Seneca understood this perfectly. He didn't wait for everything to be perfect to feel good. He enjoyed each step of the process, even when it hurt. In his writings, he reminds us that life is not a race toward a trophy, but a series of lessons as the wind shakes you. That's why he wrote, "No tree grows strong and steady if the wind doesn't shake it." Do you see? It's not the final goal that transforms you. It's every rock, every obstacle, every moment where you choose to keep moving forward. When you think like you're already at the top, even the stumbles become part of the experience. And every step stops being a struggle and becomes a joy in the journey. Lesson 22. Wealth begins with how you think. Have you ever seen a neglected fish tank? At first, it just looks like murky water, but if you look closer, it's worse. Algae covering the walls, the filter clogged, the fish swimming slowly, almost lifeless. And the strange part? It all started with something small, a single algae cell. But no one noticed it, no one stopped it, and it spread. In just a few days, the crystal clear water turned green and thick. The fish, once swimming freely, now barely have room to move. And the worst part? All of it could have been avoided by simply changing the water and cleaning the filter on time. But neglect, just not paying attention, turned an entire ecosystem toxic. Now tell me, doesn't the same thing happen in your mind? Every time you think, "I'm not good at this," that's one algae cell. Every time you see someone shining and whisper to yourself, "Nothing good ever happens to me," you just planted another one. And when you say, "Better not try, it'll probably go wrong," the water's already starting to cloud at first. You don't notice. You go about your day, your routines. But little by little, without realizing it, your mind becomes a space where you can't breathe anymore, where everything feels heavy, where there's no clarity. And the most painful part is, it was you who let it grow. But listen to this. You can do the opposite. You can clean the water, you can change the filter, you can start to see clearly again. Can you imagine treating your mind as a sacred space that deserves constant care? That's exactly what Epictetus did. Even though he lived in chains, even though he spent his days serving others, he never let his mind be polluted with victim thinking. While other slaves cursed their fate, he protected his inner world as if it were the only thing he truly owned. And he was right. Because even with shackles on his feet, his thoughts were free. That's why he wrote, "It's not things that upset us, but the way we think about them." They could take everything from him, except how he chose to interpret reality. And that, my friend, was his true power. Put yourself in his shoes for a second. Do you think Epictetus told himself, "I'm just a slave, I can't do anything"? Do you think he looked in the mirror and thought, "My life has no value, impossible"? Because he understood something fundamental. If your head is full of thoughts of lack, even if someone gives you abundance, it will never feel like enough. But if you fill your mind with thoughts of fullness, even with little, you'll walk like someone who already has it all. And that difference, that daily choice of how you think about yourself, is what shapes your entire life. And there's something else, something modern science confirms. Your body reacts to how you think. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's pure biology. When you repeat to yourself, "I can't," your nervous system registers it as a threat. Your breathing becomes shallow, your muscles tense up, your posture collapses. It's like your body prepares for failure before you've even tried. But when you choose to think, "I can, I'm ready, I already have what I need," the opposite happens. Your breath deepens, your chest opens, your gaze lifts. Your body switches into confidence mode. And from there, everything changes. Conversations flow more easily. Opportunities seem to appear. People respond differently to your energy. It's not coincidence. It's a direct result of how you decide to think. So, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to keep letting the algae take over your mind? Or are you going to start cleaning the water today? because I'm going to give you the tools, but it's up to you to use them. First, get a small notebook or open a note on your phone and title it My Thoughts. Every time you catch yourself saying something negative about yourself, write it down, not to punish yourself, just to see it clearly. And right underneath, write the true version. For example, if your mind says, I'm always late to everything, write next to it, I'm improving my time management every day. If it says I never finish what I start, write, I've finished many things in my life, and I'll finish this too. These aren't empty affirmations. They're reminders of the truth your foggy mind can't always see. Second, each night before going to bed, instead of replaying everything that went wrong, pause for just 2 minutes. Think of 3 specific things you now have that you didn't before. It could be something simple like being able to cook a dish you used to mess up, or the courage you showed today by speaking up in that meeting, even if your voice shook. Write them down if you need to. Because when you end the day recognizing what you already have, your mind falls asleep in abundance instead of in lack, and that changes how you wake up. Third, pay attention to how you talk about yourself in front of others. How many times a day do you put yourself down out loud? Ugh, I'm such a mess. I'm terrible at this. I'm so dumb. Every time you do it, you're not only polluting your own mind, you're training others to see you that way. From today on, when you notice you're about to say something negative about yourself, swap it for something neutral or positive. Instead of, I'm terrible with numbers, say, numbers aren't my strength, but I'm learning. It's a small shift, but your brain registers it, and over time it starts to believe it. Your abundance begins in how you think, because your mind is the filter through which you see your entire reality. If the filter is dirty, everything you see will feel blurry, heavy, impossible. But if you choose to clean it, if you choose to care about what comes in and what you repeat to yourself, then even on the grayest days, you'll still see light. And sooner or later, my friend, you will harvest exactly what you've been planting in your mind. So tell me, what are you planting today? Lesson 23. The first move is in your hands. How many times have you waited for someone to come along and bring order to your life? A boss to motivate you? A partner to give you stability? A friend to push you to change? As if some external savior might show up with magical solutions. And meanwhile, the days go by, the mess grows, and you keep waiting. The Stoics already warned us. It's not the world that drowns us, it's how we face it. Chaos doesn't take over because life is unfair. It takes over because you let it in, and then feed it with your inaction. Disorder is like an invasive plant. It seems harmless at first, but the more you ignore it, the deeper its roots grow. Think of an ordinary morning. It doesn't take a tragedy to see how disorder begins. You open your eyes, and the clothes are still draped over the chair, the emails unanswered, yesterday's dishes still in the sink. None of these things alone are a big deal, but they pile up. What seems like a small detail ends up weighing on your mind all day. It's not just a messy house, it's a cluttered mind. Epictetus explained it perfectly. It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them. The chair with clothes isn't the problem. The problem is that your mind turns that mess into a quiet phrase. I don't have control over my life. And that thought repeats itself with every task you leave undone. Now change the scene. You wake up, and before checking your phone, you head straight to the window, open it, and take a deep breath. Then you pick one simple but concrete action. Tidy up that corner of your desk you always avoid. Reply to just one important email. Or prep your food instead of improvising. It may not seem like much, but that action breaks the inertia. You've snapped the I'll do it later cycle, and proved to yourself that you can act. Modern psychology says the same thing in different words. Rafael Santandreu, psychologist and speaker, explains that self-responsibility is the foundation of real change. When you stop blaming others and take ownership of what's in your hands, everything starts to shift. And my friend, that responsibility isn't a burden, it's freedom. Because it means the power is back where it belongs, in your hands. Marcus Aurelius said the same, in his own words. The perfection of character is this: to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. What does that mean here? That order doesn't start with a grand life plan. It starts with the decision not to let today slip away in excuses. You might ask, where do I even start when everything feels upside down? You don't need a 10-step guide or a color-coded planner. What you need is the first move. And that move can be so small it almost feels silly. But it's the one that changes everything. Pick one small physical space and organize it completely. Sometimes order starts in something so small it seems ridiculous. Maybe it's that corner of the desk where you always dump papers, or the chair where clothes pile up day after day. If you take 10 minutes and leave it spotless, it's not just that you now have a tidy space. It's visible proof that chaos doesn't rule you. Every time you see it, you'll remember you're capable of putting things in their place. Same goes for time. Saying I'll do it tomorrow is like opening the door for disorder to stay one more day. It's much better to set a clear time. At 6, I'll answer that email. At 9, I'll take out the trash. It might sound over the top, but that kind of precision is what takes the power away from procrastination. In the end, it's not about having a perfect schedule. It's about deciding with clarity. And when the day ends, ask yourself a simple question in front of the mirror. What did I do today that came from me, not from inertia? It could be something as small as putting the groceries away instead of leaving them out, or calling that person you've been avoiding for weeks. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that you recognize it. And if one day you have no answer, don't beat yourself up. Just use it as a reminder that tomorrow you don't want to repeat the same pattern. Order doesn't show up all at once. It shows up when you choose to act today, even in something tiny. You don't need to force it, because life flows better when you stop pushing against everything. All it takes is a commitment to that first move. Chaos doesn't disappear with complaints or excuses. It fades when you get up and say, "Today, I choose to get organized." The rest sooner or later comes on its own. Lesson 24. Chaos comes with a price. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You're afraid to open your banking app, as if your balance might magically fix itself overnight. You check it, sigh, and then keep spending like you're an emotional millionaire. That overpriced coffee, the shirt you didn't need, the food delivery that barely hits the spot. All just attempts to cover up a void that's still there after you close the bag or the takeout box. The strange thing is, you convince yourself that having more will make you feel richer. But no, what happens is the exact opposite. Epictetus said it plainly. Wealth consists much more in enjoyment than in possession. And really, what's the point of buying so much if you don't even enjoy it? That's the trap. You buy to silence an emptiness, not to truly feel full. Think about it. This has probably happened to you. Payday hits on a Friday and you say, "I deserve it." And yes, of course you do. But what that turns into is dinners, drinks, little indulgences. Until Monday rolls around and your bank app brings you back to earth. Balance in the red. And the worst part isn't the money. It's the anxiety, the sense of drifting, of watching your inner chaos reflected in your numbers. Money doesn't lie. It's a mirror showing you the things you don't want to face: impulsiveness, lack of direction, emotions left unchecked. A financial psychologist I follow says it best. Your credit card is your most honest journal. Because it doesn't speak in words, it speaks in transactions. And every line on your statement reveals your relationship with either calm or chaos. Let me give you a different example. Someone once told me that whenever they felt lonely, they ordered food delivery, not because they were hungry, but because that doorbell and that package made them feel less alone. Like the pizza came with a hug. The problem? By the end of the month, they had no money and still no company. Just more emptiness. That's when they realized the spending wasn't about hunger. It was about an emotional need. Try this. For 1 week, write down every expense and next to it the emotion you felt at the time. Don't sugarcoat it. Be brutally honest. You'll likely see that what you called a treat was actually boredom. What you called pleasure was anxiety. What you labeled a necessity was just fatigue. Seeing it in writing is like looking into a mirror that doesn't lie. And here's the key. It's not about never spending. Spending isn't the problem. The problem is spending without direction, as if money could patch every emotional wound. What you really need is to spend with intention. Decide ahead of time how much you'll set aside for things that genuinely nourish you, and treat that like a commitment to yourself. Trust me, that one decision changes your entire relationship with money. Imagine setting aside a little every month for what I call intentional pleasure. Not impulse, intention. Maybe it's a book, a massage, a special dinner. The difference is, you're not doing it to fill a hole. You're doing it to enjoy it fully. That's what Epictetus meant. Wealth isn't about owning. It's about appreciating. And no, you don't need to become a finance guru or open a Swiss bank account. It's simply about recognizing that your money is shouting things you don't want to hear. If you're spending compulsively, maybe what's missing is peace. If you never allow yourself a treat, maybe what's missing is permission to enjoy. Order begins by listening to what your numbers are trying to tell you. My friend, money doesn't give you freedom. How you use it does. When you bring order to your finances, your mind breathes easier. The anxiety fades. Chaos stops calling the shots. And best of all, you begin to build from a solid place, not from a constant state of emergency. So tell me, what habit are you going to change today to stop paying a toll to chaos? Share it in the comments. Or if you prefer, make your commitment with this phrase, Stoic at heart. Today I choose to spend with intention, because in the end, organizing your life also means organizing how you relate to money. And once you get that right, everything else flows with much more clarity. Lesson number 25. Without clear direction, chaos decides for you. Imagine your life as a car on the road. You start driving with no destination. At first it feels exciting. Music up, windows down, the thrill of improvising. But soon, you get tired. You realize you don't know where you are and your gas is running low. That dizzy, drifting feeling of being in motion without making progress. That's exactly what happens when you stop planning. It's not freedom. It's exhaustion dressed up as spontaneity. And sooner or later, if you don't choose where you're going, something or someone else will choose for you. The Stoics knew that disorder doesn't come from the outside. It comes from how we respond to a lack of direction. Epictetus said it clearly. Men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. When everything feels chaotic, what's really upsetting you isn't life itself. It's not knowing what meaning to give your days. A day without direction is a lot like a boat adrift. It may seem like you're floating, but really, you're fading. You've probably felt it before. The weekend arrives, you have no clear plan, and you end up bouncing between social media and random messages. You open one app and see everyone living exciting lives. You open another and scroll through memes and motivational videos promising that Monday will be different. And there you are, yawning, telling yourself, tomorrow I'll get serious. But that tomorrow never comes, because without direction, tomorrow always turns into a repeat of today. This isn't about organizing every second of your life or stuffing your calendar with fancy phrases. A realistic plan can start small. Psychologist Paul Perez puts it simply. Instead of setting huge goals, choose one small concrete action you can actually stick with. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to have a quiet moment, or prepping your meals 3 times a week. Every time you follow through, your brain receives a powerful message. You can move forward, and that message shifts how you see yourself. Here's a tip I truly recommend. Try what I call a compass day. Set aside one fixed moment each week to stop, check your direction, and realign. It doesn't need to be dramatic. No candles, no silence retreats. Just 30 minutes. Sit somewhere quiet with no screens around and ask yourself one question. Does what I've got planned this week bring me closer to the person I want to be a year from now? Or am I just going in circles? You don't have to write pages. Sometimes a simple yes or no is enough. Let's say your calendar shows 5 meetings that add nothing to your growth. If the answer is, "This doesn't get me anywhere," then you know it's time to move, delegate, or even cancel. On the other hand, if something on there does push you forward, make it a priority. Maybe it's taking care of your health, learning something new. Highlight it. Make it visual. Use bold letters, underline it, color it in, whatever works. When you see it that clearly, it stops being a list of tasks and starts becoming a direction. This compass day won't give you full control over life, but it'll stop you from wandering aimlessly. It's like turning your map right side up once a week so you don't get lost in the storm. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. It won't feel like forcing, just organizing your path so that everything else can flow. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The life of each person is what their thoughts make of it." And planning is exactly that, shaping your thoughts before the world does it for you. You don't need to force anything, just set intention. Because when you don't, life fills itself with what others expect, with the urgent, with the loud. So, my friend, look at it this way. Having a plan won't make your life perfect, but it will keep you from drowning in that tired feeling of not knowing why you're exhausted. It's your rudder in the middle of the storm. It won't stop the waves, but it will remind you which way you're rowing. And if today you feel like you're drifting, maybe what you need isn't more energy or more motivation. Maybe what you need is a clear direction, even a simple one that gives you back control. Thinking this way, with a Stoic mindset, with abundance, with certainty, is what makes everything start to fall into place. Each morning is a new chance to choose thoughts that strengthen you, to see opportunity where others see obstacles, to believe you deserve the good that's on its way. Because when you change the way you think, your entire reality transforms, not because of magic, but because you begin to move, decide, and act from a completely different place. If this message resonated with you, drop a comment below. Today I start thinking this way, and everything will go well for me. That tells me you're part of this community that doesn't give up. Subscribe and turn on the bell so we can walk this path of wisdom together. You've got more videos on screen waiting for you, because every step counts. Click now, and let's keep learning together.